The resilience of steel can be found by integrating stress strain curve up to the ultimate fracture point, upper yield point, lower yield point, or elastic point. The resilience phenomena is defined till this elastic point only. It is my elastic point, and on any curve which goes like this, up to elastic point only, whatever energy is stored is known as proof resilience. So this resilience phenomena can be utilized up to elastic point only. So my answer will be D. So resilience is what? Energy per unit volume, strain energy per unit volume up to elastic point. So answer will be D.
Consider the following statements regarding solid solutions of metals. First, the solubility of metallic solids is primarily limited by size factor. Second, a metal with high valence can dissolve large amount of metal of lower valence. Third, a metal with same lattice crystal structure can form a series of solid solutions. The limit of solid solubility is indicated by a phase boundary called liquidus. These are four statements from Homi Rothery theory, and this theory suggests that the solubility of metallic solids is primarily limited by size factor. Yes, it is correct. The size difference, the atomic radii difference should be less than 15%. So it is limited by that factor. Yes, it is correct. Second, metal with high valence can dissolve large amount of metal of lower valence. No, it is incorrect. It should be a metal with lower valence can dissolve large amount of higher valence. So it is incorrect. It is written opposite or incorrect. Third, a metal with same lattice crystal structure can form series of solid solution. Yes, it is correct. It was written that with same crystal structure a series of solid solution can be formed. Fourth, the limit of solid solubility is indicated by phase boundary called liquidus. No, it is called solidus. So fourth statement is again wrong. So statement 1 and 3 are correct only. So option will be C, statement 1 and 3. A steel specimen is heated to 780 degrees centigrade and is then cooled at slowest possible rate in the furnace. The property imparted to the specimen by this process is, whenever any specimen is cooled at slowest possible rate in furnace, ductility increases or softness increases. So it is very simple question. Such processes can also be termed as annealing. In these processes, ductility of the material increases, and if ductility is not in our option, we can go with softness, because softness will be increased in this material, because grain growth will be proper, enough time is given for the grains to grow, and bigger size grains are formed, and due to which the softness increases. Addition of magnesium to cast iron increases its A. hardness, corrosion resistance, C. grip strength, and D. ductility and strength in tension. Whenever in cast iron magnesium is added, then it is called as spherical or nodular cast iron. Nodular cast iron. In this, the graphite flakes are formed in spherical shape, and this property or this change helps for this cast iron to become ductile. So it becomes ductile as well as its machinability increases. So for our case, the option D looks correct. Option D, ductility increases and strength in tension increases. Option D will be correct. Consider the following statements. First, the quenching of steel results in an increase in wear resistance, strength and hardness. Second, by the process of case hardening, hard wearing resistance surface is produced on mild steel. This is an effective method for low carbon steel because they cannot be hardened by the process of quenching. Third, when a metal is mixed with small atoms of non-metallic element in such a manner that invading atoms occupy interstitial position in the metal lattice and interstitial alloy results. Which of the above statements is correct? All the three statements look correct because all three are almost definitions. The quenching of steel results in increase in wear resistance, strength and hardness. Yes, quenching process, in quenching we do quick cooling of the material. From this quick cooling, the carbon particles sees its motion and it stops in the positions where it were in the interstitial sites. So in quenching, strength increases, yes, wear resistance increases, that is what hardness referred to. Second, by process of case hardening, hard wearing resistance surface is produced on mild steel. It is important because in mild steel quenching is not effective method. Since carbon percentage is very less, if carbon is very less, there will not be any effect of quenching in mild steel. So statement 2 is again correct. Statement 3, when a metal is mixed with small atoms of non-metallic element in such a manner that invading atom occupy interstitial position in the metal lattice and interstitial alloy results. It is definition of alloy. This is how alloy is made. So statement 1, 2 and 3 all are correct. So answer will be D. Recrystallization temperature is one at which A. Crystals first start forming from molten metal when cooled. B. New spherical crystals first begin to form from an old deformed ones when that strained metal is heated. It looks correct. C. The allotropic form changes. D. Crystal grow bigger in size. Recrystallization temperature is the temperature which is usually 0.6 times of the melting point temperature recrystallization. So metal is not reaching to its melting point. So statement 1 is wrong and statement 2 is correct because recrystallization is done just to eliminate the strained fibers, and those strained fibers are again stress free, are made stress free, and your material can be used for further hot heating or hot manufacturing processes. So recrystallization, for recrystallization temperature, option B is correct. FeC, iron carbon alloy containing less than 0.83% carbon is called A. high speed steel, B. hypoeutectoid steel, C. hypereutectoid steel, D. cast iron. Since according to this carbon percentage, from 0 to 2% carbon and from 2 to maximum 6.67%. In this zone from 2 to 6.67, it is called cast iron. And here it is steel. In steel again, from carbon percentage 0.83%, from here it is called hypoeutectoid steel. and carbon percentage from 0.83 to 2% are called hyper-eutectoid steel. So for our question, FeC alloy, iron carbon alloy containing less than 0.83 percentage of carbon are hypoeutectoid steel. So answer will be B. Which of the following statements are correct? First, steel and cast iron are multi-phase alloys. Second, ferrite is a single phase interstitial solid solution of carbon in iron. Third, wrought iron is highly refined iron with a small amount of slag which gives resistance to progressive corrosion. And fourth, stellite. This is printing error. It is not satellite, it is stellite. Stellite contains large amounts of metal like cobalt and tungsten, resulting in high hardness. So we'll go with statement 1. Statement 1 is steel and cast iron are multi-phase alloys. In steel and cast iron, we can find mixture of ferrite and cementite. In some proportion, we can find the mixture. Ferrite is single phase, cementite is a compound. So ferrite and cementite, if both these mixed in any proportion, it will be multi-phase alloy. So yes, statement 1 is true. For statement 2, ferrite is a single phase interstitial solid solution of carbon in iron. Yes, it is how solid solution is defined, percentage of minor in major. So solution of carbon in iron, and yes, it is solid solution, it is single phase. So statement 2 is correct. Statement 3, wrought iron is in a highly refined iron with small amount of slag which gives resistance to progressive corrosion. Yes, it is correct. Some amount of inclusions are there and which prevent it to get corroded. Fourth, stellite contains large amount of metals like cobalt and tungsten, resulting in high hardness. Now this stellite is also known as cast hard alloy. This falls under category of such materials. Stellite is made from 53% cobalt, 33% of chromium and around 40% of tungsten. Now it is very hard, it is a cutting material hard than HSS, but it is having hardness lower than carbide tools. So stellite is very hard and this cobalt, tungsten and chromium mixture makes it harder. So statement 4 is again correct. So all the statement 1, 2, 3, 4 are correct. My answer will be option A. The unique property of cast iron is its high A. malleability, B. ductility, C. toughness, D. damping characteristic. The answer is D. damping characteristic. It is due to the graphite flakes present in cast iron. In grey cast iron, due to graphite flakes, it has very good or excellent damping characteristics. So answer would be D. Which one of the following pairs of tests has been developed to evaluate the fracture resistance of engineering materials subjected to dynamic loads or impacts? So usually such tests are for toughness testing. So A. tension impacts and bending impacts, B. tensile test and Brinell hardness test, C. Vickers hardness and tensile test, D. scleroscope test and file test. 4 tests are given. Option correct is A. To check toughness of any material or energy absorbed before fracture of any material, impact tests are there. In this bending impact test, we have some tests like IZOD and Charpy impact test. In tension impact test, we have some notches made on material and we tried for tensile impact. So such tests are there already to check toughness of material. So option A will be correct, tension impact and bending impacts.